My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of Sizzle. And this review will have spoilers, so there's your warning. But with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 coming out in a few weeks, I'm going to go ahead and rewatch and review his non superhero movies. So this week, Sizzle, next week, Super, and then after Guardians of the Galaxy 3 comes out, I'll be doing a video on James Gunn's movies ranked. So that's what you have to look forward to. But man, this movie is so good. It kind of bums me out that he has moved entirely to superhero movies. And to be fair, he might be the best superhero movie director. And I'm glad he's living his dream now, but I wish he was making more movies like this one because this movie is just amazing. And I always say I miss the practical effects driven horror movies like The Fly, like The Blob, like Reanimator, Hellraiser, those kind of movies. And we got it in 2006 with this one. And there's been a few since, like Color Out of Space, The Beach House. I haven't seen The Void, but I hear that one's pretty good. So it's not a completely absent genre, but it's one I would love to see many movies in because it's just totally my jam. I love how old school this movie is, and the practical effects do just blow my mind. Like it looks amazing, and it just makes it look all the more gross and disgusting. I do love how this movie starts off as a body horror, where this husband is starting to mutate and lose himself. And then how it kind of transitions into being a movie about these alien slugs. And then those alien slugs take over people's brains. So then it kind of turns into a zombie movie. And then in the last act, it goes back to the body horror, but amplified by so much. It's just a movie that's constantly evolving in interesting ways. And man, like it starts off, and when Michael Walker's character, Grant, is mutating, it doesn't have the effect of The Fly, but it's still very gross to look at. And then when we eventually see him again, and he's just all resemblance of any bit of humanity is completely gone. And then we find that girl in the barn who's just expanded to like an enormous size, and she's just talking about how hungry she is. That scene is straight on disturbing as hell. And then when she blows up and the slugs go out and they start attacking people, and it's very tense as you're just watching them crawl into people's mouths. And then when Nathan Fillion jumps down and covers Elizabeth Banks' mouth and his arm, it's just, it gets under my skin. That's just so many gross slugs, and I love that. And then we eventually make our way back to Grant at the end, who is getting his human zombies to merge with him, and it's just this giant body filled with all these different human bodies, and it is terrifying. It is some amazing stuff, and man, I love it so much. Like I said, it is just so gross and disgusting. The practical effects look great, and even though she doesn't, when it looks like Elizabeth Banks' character might actually kiss him, I was just like, don't! It's so messed up. And James Gunn just directs this movie perfectly. It is a breezy, fast-paced movie at an hour and 25 minutes, which is absolutely perfect. And it does have quite a few funny moments. I always talk about how I don't like the humor we get so much nowadays. Well, someone will point out how absurd and how weird something is because it just takes me out of the movie. But James Gunn usually does that pretty well, and he does so here. There are sometimes I laughed, and I think you got yourself a really good script here. And I love how Grant and Star's relationship, everybody thinks that she doesn't actually love him and that she's just in it for the money. but it turns out that's not actually the case, as we see her hanging on to him as much as she can until he's completely gone at the end. I love that angle. And I do like how this movie has a new main character throughout. Like, it begins and it's Grant's movie, but then it becomes Starla's movie, then it becomes Bill's movie, then it becomes Kylie's movie, then it becomes Bill's movie again. And it's just manages to work. It's not your typical script, and I like that a lot, because most movies would have Bill be the main character at the start, but this movie wants to establish the victims first before we get to the hero. And I like that about it. Nathan Fillion is such an underused actor. Like, man, you watch him in Firefly and he has so much charisma, and you figured he'd be a bigger movie star. It just didn't really happen, but I loved him in this movie. He has so much personality and charisma and energy. Elizabeth Banks, I'm not always the biggest fan of her as an actress. I think she's good in the Hunger Games movies, but she's really good here. Actually, probably her best performance. You've got Michael Rooker, who gives a really great performance as well. You've got Tanya Sarnil, who I think is really great, and I do love her character, because you think that she's going to be another victim, but she's actually a very strong character who's able to survive and with just pure strength and intelligence, and I love that about her. So, great character. And then you've got Greg Henry, who plays the mayor of the town, and he does a pretty decent job. But look, this movie is just a complete and utter blast. You've got yourself some amazing practical effects. It's terrifying from a body horror point of view. There is some very gross and disgusting imagery on display, especially at the very end of this movie. And when they do eventually win, I love the way they do it. Like, he loses the grenade, but then he uses the propane tank. I love that. I think it has some funny moments. I think the script is actually pretty smart. I love this movie. I'm not sure which James Gunn movie I like more, this one or Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. But this one definitely comes close, and I believe it deserves much more love. So I'm going to go ahead and give Slither a 9 out of 10. I want more movies like this. That's all I want. Give me one great body horror movie a year and I'll be very happy. Like, we get lots of demon possession movies, we get lots of slasher movies. Give me some more of this with practical effects. I'll say it in every review where I talk about a movie like this. I just miss this kind of movie so much. Even though you can totally see how he takes elements from this movie and utilizes them in The Suicide Squad and Peacemaker. So, even though I wish James Gunn would make a movie like this again, I am glad he hasn't left it completely behind. But what are your thoughts on Slither? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.